Stormbringers was created with the intent to show different archetypes in the global black community, and not just contemporary archetypes, but archetypes in antiquity throughout history. So on the specific Stormbringers team, you've got a warrior, which to me sort of brings back all those stories that I've read about and heard of, these great African warriors. And that's Chaos the Destroyer. He's from like this ancient warrior clan who embodies that spirit. Then I've got Andromeda the Star. She absorbs ambient energy and is able to convert it into any known form of energy. And to me, it kind of calls into being, the deities of Africa, from Aset to Heru, just that light, that different aspect of God that the Africans, believed in. And then I've got Force the Molotov, for example. She's able to detonate things with her mind, and really, that just kind of comes from hip hop and blowing up the spot or whatever, and just materializing that into tangible form. Then I've got, Stepson the Heartthrob. He's the leader of the team, and he reminds me of every charismatic black man that I've met over the years who could do everything from lead an industry, become president, become student body president, things of that nature. Then I've got XXL, the heavyweight, and XXL is actually a pygmy. And what we're going to deal with him is the whole, first of all, the association that pygmies don't like to be called pygmies. They're not. They're actually tribesmen, and they actually have their own cultures, and they're actually spread out in different countries throughout Africa. And so he's going to be involved in the whole pygmy rights movement in the Stormbringers universe. Then we've got Halo, the fabulous Freebird. She's actually an angel from God. And that kind of just deals with the whole concept that, I've never seen a black angel before. And so, and here we have one. And what does that mean to be an angel, a celestial or whatever? And then I've got Freelance, the Trailblazer. She's a former Olympic athlete. And that just reminds me of, FloJo and Jackie Joyner-Kersee and all the phenomenal black Olympians that I loved watching when I was growing up. So the Stormbringer universe just kind of embodies like all these different archetypes. The supporting characters in the Stormbringer universe, they're journalists, they're family men and women, and they even have their own comic book called The City of New Frontier. So you've got just the a panorama of just black people doing different things that you don't ordinarily see in mainstream media. And so that's really what I'm trying to do with Stormbringers. And then my latest series is called Glorious, and it's about high school freshman girl who starts to develop superpowers that only work when she feels good about herself. And so with that, I really kind of want to go back to high school and sort of talk about, all right, what it is like in high school for, a typical black teen, and deal with issues of self-hatred, and deal with issues of body image, and deal with issues of budding relationships, but do it entertaining, but always have these sort of social themes underlying, everything that I do. So 4-issue Stormbringers miniseries took about 2 years to create. I did all the writing for it and left it in my illustrator's hands, and every week we get together and I go over the latest illustrations and say yes, no, change this, do that, yada yada. So I was sitting around waiting when I really should have been saving money. I decided to put more money into other properties, and I was fascinated with the teen melodrama just as a genre. I've always loved the teen melodrama ever since Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And I've been fascinated with it. What's Happening. Loved that when I was a kid. Um, Anything set in high school always fascinated me growing up, and I never really lost it as an adult. So I wanted to set a superhero tale in high school, and I was thinking one day, of concepts, and I kept thinking about this teen girl in this cape and these gloves, like flying through the sky at night and taking classes in high school during the day, and hooked up with this artist named Shauna Mills, and she started designing different characters for me to take a look at. And maybe a few months later, I shot them over to a friend of mine by the name of Carden Collins, who took the concept and upped it even further. But he took out the cape and the gloves. It was like, I just see, you've created this fascinating universe with all these characters set in high school. So why don't we just take the cape and the gloves off, because high school is dramatic enough as it is. I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. And so, as I started to write on Glory, like, what sets this concept apart as a hero? I mean, is it just going to be another Buffy the Vampire Slayer? We have this, superpowered female, this girl in high school. What separates? And I'm like, well, what separates is that she's black. And I think one of the main issues we deal with, if we're talking about images of black people in the media, is, we fight our self-hatred, our own self-hatred. So what if her powers were tied into how she felt about herself? And that way, not only are you dealing with black self-hatred, you're just dealing with the self-hatred that women feel when they, compare their body image to the images that they see on magazine covers and in music videos. And especially being out here in Southern California, every woman I know, their single-minded goal is to be thin. It's crazy. Even these gorgeous black women from the South with these beautiful curves are calling themselves fat. And I was like, this is interesting. So if I sort of heaped all this on my character and had her powers tied into how she felt about herself, it's like, that could make for some really interesting storytelling. And so that's how Glory sort of came to be. And so I've got a lot of really good response from her. Her issue number 0 came out at the 2008 Comic-Con. And I remember it was a day late from the printer, so it didn't get there until Friday. And I was telling people, come back for my latest comic book series called Glorious. It's about a high school freshman girl whose powers only work when she feels good about herself. And so people kept coming back, but the same day. I was like, no. It'll be here the next day. And the package came to the hotel. Yeah, it had like 2 big boxes of Glorious issues 0s. Came to the hotel. And so my boy Sekou went to the hotel to get them. And he said it as he was walking down the convention hall with the boxes on the dolly. And the cover of Glory is actually taped on the box. So people were stopping him in the convention hall at the San Diego Comic-Con and saying, is this Glorious? Is this Glorious? And they're trying to buy it from him in the hallway. And so I was like, you know what, this might take off. And so we easily sold 1,000 issues of Glory at Comic-Con, and this is at $5 a pop. So that was a really good experience. So I'm thinking, yeah, this might be something. I tell people, ask me all the time, where do your ideas come from? Everything you ever experience, everything you ever read, just kind of all mixes in your mind. And if you're open to it, when you start to write, seemingly random events start to connect into stories, into characters, and sort of make perfect sense. And then, in college, I was a huge fan of Gloria Naylor and Marita Golden and Alice Walker and Toni Morrison. And so just sort of, I don't know, maybe they had a huge influence just because they had such diverse and rich characters that were women and men. I was like, if they can write these really rich male characters, I could probably write these really rich female characters because, My mother's a woman, and my aunts and grandmothers. So I'm like, hey, I know their stories, and you know, all the women that I've ever dated, will probably see themselves in some way, shape, form, or fashion in Glorious as well. So just kind of representing them. And when the series finally starts, I'm not going to be the only person writing it. There will be, black women and black teenagers actually writing storylines and dialogue and issues of the Glorious series.